I'm going to show you how to play something on the guitar. And if you learn to play it well, you will become immensely popular.
Yeah!
Your friends will love it.
Yeah!
You'll make new friends and they'll love it.
Yeah!
You will be invited to parties and asked to bring your guitar.
Yeah!
I'm serious. It's that good. And it's not hard to play. So let me show it to you. I told you it was cool. Now let me break it down. What we have here is what I call a Bluegrass Country Jig in the key of G. It's based on a very straightforward chord progression that uses the chords G, C, D, and D7. Just those four chords. It's in 4/4 time, and it begins with one measure, which is an opening riff, as I call it. What I'm doing there in the beginning, I'm forming a G chord with my fretting hand, but all I'm doing there is I'm picking the 2nd fret of the 6th string and hammering on to the 3rd fret and then strumming down up on the middle strings. Just like that. So it's pick, hammer, down up strum, and do it again, and then just one down strum. Now at the end of that measure, I have a quick little muted down up strum. So the whole first measure is this. And then begins our chord progression. And it's laid out over 8 measures. So let's go over that. The first measure is G and C, and each chord gets 2 beats. So simplified, it's just this. G, C. Second measure is G to D7. Third measure is G to C. The fourth measure is just D again. And the fifth measure is like measure 1. G, C, 6, G, D7. Measure 7, G, C. And the last measure is really D and G. That's the chord progression simplified, but we will employ some common bluegrass techniques. The first one is alternating bass. So with each chord, you will pick a bass note. For the G chord, you'd pick the 6th string, and then you do your strum. Then you would pick the 5th string and do your strum. Those are our 2 bass notes for G. For the C chord, you would pick the 5th string and then strum, and then the 4th string and strum. So that's alternating bass on the C chord. For the D on D7 chord, you pick the 4th string, then the 5th string. So D and D7, it's 4th string, 5th string, they're open strings. That's D7 also for D. It's the same. So that's alternating bass. Now to fancy it up a little bit, we'll throw in some hammer-ons on those alternating bass notes on the C and the G chords. So for the G chord, I would pick the 6th string and strum. Then I'd pick the 5th string open and hammer down my middle finger and strum. Likewise, for the C chord, I'd pick the 5th string and strum, and pick the open 4th string and hammer down the middle finger. So we've got some hammer-ons in our alternating bass pattern, and that sounds like this. Now the next little detail is I'm doing a down-up strum on the chord. So, and that's known as the boom chicka rhythm. Boom chicka, boom chicka, boom chicka, boom chicka. I do that throughout. So let me play through the chord progression right now, just with alternating bass. There's a couple more little details we'll add to it. So we have our intro, and we begin the chord progression on G. D7. that's the chord progression with alternating bass and a little bit of hammer-ons in the bass. You may have noticed on one of the C chords I changed it up a little bit. For alternating bass I hit the 5th string and I did my strum. Then I hit the 4th string open and hammered. I didn't strum, but I hit the 4th string open and hammered again. And that was that C chord. Just to be different. And back to the G chord. Another thing about the G chord is there's 2 ways to play it. You can play the bass notes with fingers 1 and 2, and your 3rd finger or your 4th finger over here on the top string. I call that the country way. Seems like a lot of country players play their G chords this way. Or you can play it with fingers 2, 3, and 4. And I think this is the rock and roll way. Either one works. It just depends what you're comfortable with. Another thing I like to do to make it more interesting is change up measure 4. Measure 4 is all D. That's a little too much of the same thing. So I cut that short and I throw in a bass run at the end, which is another common bluegrass technique. And the bass run leads us back to the G chord in the next measure. So what I do there for the last beat in measure 4, I hit the open 6th string E twice, down, up, and then the 2nd fret of the 6th string, and that leads us right into the G chord. So measure 4, starting on D, like that. Likewise, measure 8's a little different. That's the one that goes D to G, and the song kind of ends right there. But I like to substitute a hint of that opening riff for the G chord. So what I mean is I hit my D as usual, and then for G, an abbreviated section of the opening riff. And at the very end of that you can do your muted down up strum. And then to close it out, I play the opening riff, which is now the closing riff. And really to close it out, we can end it with a major pentatonic run. And go down to the G major chord. So let's look at that major pentatonic run. I'm up here at the 12th fret, and it's the same as the E minor pentatonic scale, the familiar first position of the pentatonic. But you would stop there because that's our G note, that's our root. Now, a typical country thing to do would be to bar the 15th fret of the 1st and 2nd string with your pinky. Take your 3rd finger on the 3rd string at the 14th fret and do a full bend. Right? That sounds really country. But I'm just doing it real quick and then coming down off of that. So bar with the bend and strike it as a chord. Then on the 3rd string, going 14, 12. Then on the 4th string, 14. Back to 12 on the 3rd string. Then 14, 12 on the 4th string. And I throw in this little blues note, the 13th fret of the 5th string, and I do a hammer onto the 14th. Back to the 12th fret of the 4th string. Then I'm going to pick the 14th fret of the 5th string and slide it quickly to the 12th fret. And we finish it off with the 10th fret of the 5th string, which is our root note. It's the same as there, but we're here. So here's that pentatonic run slowly. And then what I like to do there is to take this note, slide it down, and just go into a G chord for a gentle strum. Okay? So that's it for my Bluegrass Country Jig in the key of G. I wish I had a better title for it, but there's no words, so there's no title. Thanks for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed that and hope that you'll work on it. Show it to your friends, see what they think. Leave some comments below. Let me know how it's going for you, if it's improving your social life, and if you're becoming more popular because of it, like it did for me. I have no friends. Once again, thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that, and if you did, please give me a like and subscribe if you're not already. And stay tuned for more guitar-related videos. Until next time, I've been James Caldwell.